So, hello everyone. I hope you all are doing excellent at your end. This is fresh morning, and I hope you are enjoying your college classes. Today, we are back here again with the day 2 of our bootcamp on Azure Data Fundamentals. This is a 3-day bootcamp on DP900 exam for you to get a Microsoft DP900 certified. And we are having our expert speaker, Mr. Venkata sir, who is Microsoft MVP, Microsoft Valuable Professionals, and he'll be taking you further for this bootcamp. So, this is Lakshit Pandya, host for today, and let's start with the day 2 of the session. Today's topics are non-data, relational databases, non-relational databases, and a lot more things to cover today. So over to you, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Lakshit. And yes, hope you can see my screen.
Yeah, it's visible to us, sir.
Okay. So, hi everyone. Good morning and good afternoon, wherever the part of uh, the geography in India that you are present. So, yes. So let us start for the second day. So, if you have any questions, please do wait till the end of the session so that I can take them. Okay. So yes, so what is the agenda for today, right? Just we are going to explore the relational data concepts and also the Azure services of the relational data. Okay, as I said before, right, I'm not going deep into the things that is present, right? So relational database schema, it is nothing but you can say the data will be stored in the tables and in the form of the rows and columns. And if you observe here, so if you observe here, this is nothing but one particular row and this is nothing but a column, and data stored in tables. Table consists of rows and columns, and all rows have the column same columns, and each column is assigned a data type. If you observe, right, the first name, this is Joe, is you can call it as a kind of string. ID is nothing but a kind of integer. Email is nothing but email type. And this one, so for every row, for every column item, there will be in relational database one particular table type will also be present. Okay, in the same way for here in the product, I have a price which is of the different data type. As I mentioned before, uh, the relational tables will come under the structured data, and the structured data is easy to use, and you can quickly uh, fetch any kind of data without any further issues and all. And basically this structured one, like this relational database uh, are defined based upon the ANSI standards, which you might have learned before. That is American National Standards Institute, called as ANSI, that are supported by most of the database systems. So here, simple here, what is the normal? So for any data, normalization is very much important. So if you see in my left hand side, this is the sales data, which is not at all odd, not organized well, and it is hard to get the information out of it. And you can also see some kind of duplicate is also present there. So if you observe, this is the sales data, where I have the order number, order details, and the customer details, product details, and as a kind of some kind of quantity. So it will be very much hard to get the information in faster way. So in order to do it, we have to normalize the data. Normalize means just distribute in a separate place, so that it will be easy to retrieve the information. So here what I am doing, right, so how I can do the normalization by using so I have customer, create a customer table, order table, product table. Quantity means you should not create a quantity table. Generally we call it as a line item, where we can use that one. So normalization for an unstructured data, in order to normalize it, first what we, in relational database world, what we have to do, for each entity create a own table, and also separate each discrete attribute into its own column, and also in order to make each and every row or the column to be very much unique, we call it as a primary key. And also if you observe, right, between customer and the order, if you see in the order table, customer details also present, which we call it as a foreign key. This one you have to do it. I am not going in depth about all the details about like what are the things, how it is created, everything and all. So in relational database basis, right, we generally use like the structured query language. And I this is not the topic, and this is not a part of agenda like uh, how to write the SQL queries, that is structured query language stories. But just I am helping you at least 1%, so that too you can understand it and see like, okay, in SQL what kind of statements that are present. So might be you might have already learned in your academics in RDA, maybe RDBMS, like if you are working, if you whenever you are learning the databases kind of things, like, okay, what are the different kinds of uh, types that we are having: DDL, DCL, and DML. We call data definition means like I have a customer table, I have product table. To create that particular product table, what is the thing that I have to follow it? As I said before in the previous slide, every column should have an its data type. Okay, and the next comes to here data control language. That means, as we have mentioned, as we have discussed earlier, for a table, providing some kind of access is also very much important. So we call that as an DCL, that is data control language, that is grant, deny, and the revoke. Okay, and next is the data manipulation language. That means I have this particular data already, one particular product is there. If I wanted to insert a one particular data, like one okay, product table is present. In this particular product table, I have an I have a product called the like hammer, screwdriver, wrench, like that, right? I have nuts and bolts. If I wanted to add this, then I have to use this data manipulation languages. So here the example shows here, like in order to fetch the data, example here in a nutshell, right, I wanted to get the products whose price is more than 2.5. So if we are considering about the INR, right, I am seeing it like 2 rupees 50 pice. What are the products which have the price which are more than 2.5? As per this product table, the results is hammer, screwdriver, wrench, which has the price is more than 2.5. And also, please do remember, SQL structured query language is used for working with relational databases, and this syntax and standards are maintained by ANSI and also ISO. Hope you know about the abbreviations: American National Standards Institute for ANSI and International Standards Organization for ISO. Okay, and also just this SQL, if at all for Microsoft, then we call it as an SQL and TSQL. And also if it is for Oracle, that is non-Microsoft, we call it as an PLSQL. And if it is for the other provider called the PostgreSQL is also present. Just irrespective of a kind of any SQL that you are using, structured query language, these three, or you can say the pillars, these remain same: DDL, DCL, and also the DML. And also as I said before, right, in the previous slide, to select the data, this if I write this particular query, I will get this particular details. So if suppose if I wanted to make this as an simple one to predefine, then what I have to do, right, in SQL, I will use called the views, that is predefined SQL queries that will be used. What they will do, right? Simply, rather than example, just say that I have written a select query. See, I have three tables. To fetch the data from these three tables, I have written a complex select query. Okay, if at all I give direct access to that particular select query, uh, see, if I write any select query, either I have to physically share that particular select query in some shared drive so that other person can use it. But if at all I wanted to distribute the same kind of select query to the different people, then what I have to do, right? Yeah, I can simply create a view. Okay, so if suppose I create any view, then this select query is nothing but, if you observe, right, a view will have uh, this particular select query only. Next is the stored procedures. What they will do, right? They are predefined SQL statements where you can perform the certain operations, like, see, views only select operations. Stored procedures, you can have all the data manipulation DML kind of commands like create, update, delete, and even select also you can have it. Okay, and also indexes. See, indexes are very much important for any particular table in relational database. The importance here, right, if I have any index that is present in a table, I can easily and quickly get that information. Example, so let us take you in your class or in your university for your specialty. There are 35 students are present. If at all they don't have any particular IDs, that is 123, that is roll numbers, or the admission numbers are not given, in order to get the details of one particular student, it is difficult. So that's where in a relational database world, what we do, right, for that particular student's information table, we will index it. What you will index? This index, this student numbers, the student numbers, two students will not have a single number, correct? So we have to consider an unique column where all the values should be different. For that I can create an index. I'm not going deep into that index, what is present and all. So let us take a minute pause here. So just see which one of the following statements is a characteristics of a relational database, and which SQL statement is used to query tables and return data, and also what is an index. Okay, so a row in a table represents single instance of an entity, and to query tables and return data, which SQL statement we will use it is the select. What is an index? It is a structure that enables queries to locate rows in a table quickly. So now let us see about the Azure services for relational data. So just okay. Till now in the first lesson we have discussed about relational data, how to normalize the data, and what are all the pillars of any relational data, and what is an SQL, SQL, that is structured query language and all. Now Azure world, Microsoft, how it is providing its particular services to you. Okay, so so please note that SQL Edge is also present, which is a service that was been that is provided by the Microsoft. But here, in a nutshell, just we will use this SQL server on Azure VMs. So simple. These are the three services that are provided by the Microsoft Azure. Okay, what they will do, right? Just pay some kind of subscription, then you will get it. So simple, Azure SQL is a generic term where Azure relational database that are based on Microsoft SQL Server, and also these are nothing but the relational database. Okay, there is no need for you to understand in depth like 100% okay what is this SQL server on Azure VMs, but just you have to understand like these terms like IaaS and PaaS. So IaaS means infrastructure as a service. That means Azure, just you can say, okay, Microsoft, I need these many VMs that needs to be present. Then what they will do, right? They will provide you these particular VMs on behalf of you. You have to pay for it. And next, PaaS, that means platform as a service. Okay, which will enables you to pre-provision compute resources and deploy several individual SQL server related things. So let us come back to here. Here, Azure VS, what is the importance of this particular service? So what it will do, right? You will have at any point of time, this SQL server will be available for you, and also only these VMs will be provided for you. Customer is responsible to take all the software upgrades, backups, replication, and all. That means the DB admin, database admin, will take off all this, and also per VM you have to pay that particular amount, and also uh, it is an on-premise database configurations where simply you can, okay, obviously, right? So if at all you are working on any particular databases, what you will do, you will manually get that particular software CD or a software license. Simply you can install it in your local machine, correct? But here, if you are using SQL Server on Azure VMs, pay for that subscription. Then Microsoft Azure will provide you a VM for you so that you can simply log into that particular VM without any extra servers. Okay, next is the Azure SQL managed instance. So what it will do, right? You can have the automatic backups, software patching, and database monitoring that you can do it, and as well as uh, you can have a single instance for a multiple databases or multiple instances in a pool with shared resources. I am not going in depth about what is a pool, what are multiple instances and all, but simple, if you have this Azure SQL managed instance, then you will get all these things. And also, which this is great for migrating most on-premises data to the databases to the cloud. If you observe, right, during the pandemic, like before the pandemic, most of the organizations, they are using the on-premise data. That means uh, if you have internet, you cannot access their details in the database. You have to have certain URL that needs to be hosted, so that if you have rights to it, then only you can do it. But in case if you wanted to uh, access your database without going to the office, or if you wanted to connect from the remote location, that is not present. Okay, that means those databases which are not readily available in an internet, we call them as an on-premise databases. And if you migrate these databases to the cloud, right, simply if you need to have an internet URL and you need to have an internet connection, simply you can work and play with that particular databases. Next is this Azure SQL database. This one is used to great choices, which is a single database, and it is great for new and cloud-based application. And simply, right, uh, if you observe the administration control, this one, this SQL Server and Azure AVMs. This will be maintained by the admins, and also this SQL managed instance and SQL database. This will be just forget about VMs and all. However, it is present. Just concentrate on, okay, what is the database and how I can save that particular data. And also, you can ask me a question. Okay, Venkat, Azure, Microsoft, whatever that you are saying is in the previous slide, those are all related to the companies or the institutions or the customers who are using only the Microsoft stack. What about the people who are using non-Microsoft, that is open source thing? So don't worry, Azure provide the databases as a service. Like for MySQL, they will do give an platform as a service implementation for them, and commonly used in Linux and Apache MySQL, and also the PHP and LAMP application architecture. And MariaDB, this is a kind of an open source RDBMS where it is compatible with the Oracle. So Azure Database, the Azure Database will be provided by the Microsoft Azure. And also for the PostgreSQL, that this database service in the Microsoft Cloud based on the Postgres Community Edition database engine, and this hybrid relational and object storage. So in a nutshell, just remember Microsoft Azure also provide the databases as a service which are open source as well. So just an for this particular session, labs are not being covered because to go for this particular labs and all, it will be an hands-on session that will be present. But for the DP900, for this particular planned sessions, we are just going about the concepts that are present. Okay, so which deployment options offers the best compatibility when migrating an existing SQL Server on-premises solution? And next, which of the following statements is true about SQL database? And which database service is the simplest option for migrating a LAMP application to Azure? Just I will pause for a minute here, and then just I will give it. Okay. So managed instance for migrating, and also database maintenance tasks are automated, and which database service is simplest is MySQL. So with this, just we have completed the first part of this particular session. Just give me a minute so that I will bring the next part of it. So in between, if you have any questions, you can post it.
Yes, sir, we do have some questions. Shall I post it?
Hmm. Yes.
So it is about the foreign key and primary key. Okay, so I'm just posting it on the screen. So the first question goes like this. It's
Okay.
in your screen, sir.
Oh no. So you should use the foreign key and primary key. It is okay. No, one key is not sufficient. Okay. So primary key means within the table. Foreign key means to refer one particular table into another table. You have to use this particular foreign key. Okay. Hope I have
Perfect.
answered the question.
Yeah. So the next question is coming on your screen, sir. It goes something like this.
Okay. So uh, if you are hosting your site on Vercel, so Vercel is also new to me. You have to check. Uh, okay, if you can tell me what kind of database that you are using for this
Yeah, sir. He has
Vercel.
some follow-up question. So I'm just posting it on the screen.
Mhm.
Okay. So the follow-up question is like this. He's asking some. He's just doing some redirection stuff, some documents, and dealing with some links.
Okay, so in this one, right, just you leverage Azure for the blob storage, where you can go for this links and documents. You can keep it, and also if you wanted to use Azure services, then you can go for certain other Azure components that are present, like the Logic Apps, Azure Functions, and the Graph APIs, all the other things that you can use it. Okay.
Okay, perfect. I hope that answers your question. So we are sending a next question to your screen, sir,
Mhm.
and it is about. Can you tell us the concept of MAC address?
Okay. So obviously, this is not related to us to this particular topic. Maybe it is a different vast topic where you can differ it. Okay,
Yeah. So the
just
next
like an
question is,
simple, just like an IP address for any system or for any device in a network to identify, we use an IP address for unique identifier across the globe. In the same way, for a MAC address also serves the same particular purpose. Okay, let us continue. Okay. Yes, so it is a good question, and very much happy that you would like to contribute. So, if you wanted to contribute to the community, the Azure community is the first Microsoft Azure community is present, where it welcomes for the developers and the contributors for contributing for the particular product. I have provided few of the links to the Lakshit. You can take from them from him later point of time.
yeah, perfect. I have already shared those links through your mail, so you can just go through your mail and check those links. We have already shared a mail to you where all these links are present. Still, I am sharing those links to you all so that you can get the insights. So you can continue, and I'm
Sure.
sharing the link with all these folks.
Okay. Thank you. Hope you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Yes. So, so the next topic, right? What we are going to do, right? We are exploring the fundamentals of non-relational data. See, the first part of this today's session, we have discussed about the relational data, but about the non-relational data. In the real world, whatever the data we see, all will be present in a non-relational data only. So for that, how the Azure is going to give us the details of it, like what we are going to do, like fundamentals of Azure storage and also the fundamentals of Azure Cosmos DB. Yes, as I said before in the previous session, like blob storage, just I have given introduction. Blob storage, any files, any images, any videos, or any spreadsheets, all these things we can leverage this particular blob storage. And also we have to take some kind of subscription from the Microsoft by paying some amount. So yes, so in a nutshell, you can also read here. So Azure Blob Storage, it is a service that will enables you to store the massive amounts of unstructured data in the cloud. And inside any Azure storage account, you can create a blobs inside containers. And a container provides a convenient way for you. So just if you observe here, so blob storage is your storage account. It will have blob container. Inside a blob container, I have a blob, and I can also create these particular folders as well. It will have, if you observe right, it will have an um, hierarchy, and also blobs can be up to 4.7 terabytes. Okay, and composed of blocks up to 100 MB, and a blob can contain update up to 50,000 blocks. And these blobs, like these blobs, binary large objects are of different types: block blobs, page blobs, and append. Page have some 8 TB and 512 byte, and append blobs, it will have just over 195 GB, and each block can have up to 4 MB. Okay, just imagine you have a, obviously you will you might have used also the Rubik's cube, right? In that Rubik cube you will see a cube, but you it is uh, the combination of individual small cubes, right? In the same way, these blobs are also the combination of individual blocks. All blocks together call it as an the blob container. Okay, so, and example, this particular blob, it will uh, provide three kind of tiers for it. One is hot, cool, and archive. Hot is highest cost, lowest latency. Cool is lower cost and higher latency. And achieve is archive is the lowest cost and highest latency. So based upon your budget and the purpose and the requirement, you can consider this one. You can ask me a question. So what is this hot cool or archive meant for? see, I said right, Blob Storage, you have to pay some kind of subscription. So if you wanted to have lowest latency, that is immediately you need to get all the details, everything and all, then you have to go with this particular tiers. And next is Azure Data Lake Storage Generation 2. So previously we do have a Generation 1, which is a separate service for hierarchical data storage for analytical data lakes. So that means now we came on, like I have the data on analysis of that particular data. How can I do it? So the latest version we have this Gen 2, which is integrated to the Azure storage. What it will do, right? It will take the advantage of this blob storage. It will make this as an scalable, and also if I have that multiple, if my data is very much huge in distributed way. So distributed file system means all my files will not be present in a single location. It will be distributed across different ways. In the same way, all my blob storages kind of things will not be present in a single place or the single location, but they will be distributed across multiple things. We call this particular things like the major things as in Azure Data Lake Store, like the systems like the Hadoop in Azure SD Insight and Azure Databricks and Azure Synapse Analytics can mount on a distribute. If you remember yesterday, like when I'm going with the Azure Analytics and like okay, professional data professionals, I said about that data admin, data engineer, and also the data analyst. For this data analyst, they will be using these insights like the Databricks and Synapse and all these things. Next comes to your the Azure files. Okay, so these Azure files, what they will do, right? They can be accessed anywhere and with an internet connections. So you typically find an on-premise organization to make documents and other files available to multiple users. By hosting this file, right? Just again, let us back to the example. So Microsoft Outlook and OneDrive will be majorly used. If you have any document that you wanted to share it to your friend or to your professor, what you have to do, you have to send it, you have to email it. If your professor says that some kind of modifications that are required, again you have to send it. So rather than multiple times you send it, it is better to if you can store the same kind of file in an uh, OneDrive and share that access to your professor, obviously, uh, rather than sending multiple emails based upon the comments, you can work on it. Okay, so that is what I am saying to hear this one. So if at all any file is there, just host it so that you can leverage it. And SMB file, it is a commonly used across multiple operating systems like Windows, Linux, and Mac OS, and NFS. Which was shared majorly by Linux and Mac OS versions. And to create an NFS share, you must use a premium tier storage account and create and configure a virtual network for it. And now Azure Table Storage. So as I said before, items that are present here are called as, imagine this is an table. Okay, this is a table, right? And the items that are present, we call it as an rows, and the fields are nothing but the columns. Okay, so this is all in the same way. This is a normal table. In the same way, Azure table storage also uses a similar kind of structure like the table. What it will have, right? It will compose of a partition key and also a row, which is nothing but a key. Okay, so if you observe, right, previously if I see about a table, I can have a customer, product in, and also the item number, address, shipping address, like that I have individual tables. But if you see here Azure table storage, it will have not the actual details of the table, but it will have the partition and the row key and the timestamp. That means you need to understand the concepts of uh, okay, storing the data in multiple ways, like in the data warehouse, or multi-dimensional data, how you can store it. Okay, so the rows are grouped into partitions, and property columns are assigned to a data type, and rows do not need to include on the same property columns. So now coming back to the knowledge check here. So what are the elements of any Azure table storage key, and what should you do an existing Azure storage account in order to support a data lake for your Azure Synapse Analytics, and which Azure storage option should you use to create a cloud-based network file shares. I will keep a pause here of 30 seconds, and we'll see it. Okay. So Azure table storage key, partition key, and row key will be used. And existing storage account, we use the upgrade to account to hierarchical namespace and create a blob container. And Azure storage option should use to create cloud. And also, see, don't get worried and don't get confused by all these particular terms like storage. How can I create a blob storage? How can I create Azure table? How can I create a Azure files and all? These are all the advanced topics where you will also got to know about whenever you go in deep about what is about the Azure components and all. Now, next, the fundamentals of Azure Cosmos DB. As I said before, right? Data. We have this particular data like structured, semi-structured, and unstructured. Okay, if you observe these documents, right, it is nothing but you can see the JSON kind of implementation, and the graphs you can see an kind of the things where you can establish this particular data. Okay, so what is Azure Cosmos DB? So what it will support, right? It will support multiple APIs. API is nothing but application programming interfaces that enable developers to use the programming semantics of many uncommon kinds of data store uh, to work with data in an Cosmos DB database. And also here, so Azure Cosmos DB, what they will do, it support for multiple storage APIs and real-time access with fast read and write performance, and it will enable multi-region writes to replicate the data globally, and it enables users in specified regions to work with the local replica. And Cosmos DB uses indexes and partitioning to provide the fast read and write performance and can scale to massive volumes of the data. Not only the Azure or Microsoft native databases, we have the other non Azure or Microsoft databases, or you can say open databases. As you mentioned, as you have observed, like we do have MongoDB and Table API and Germline API and Cassandra API. So MongoDB, Germline, Cassandra, or you can say kind of open source or non-Microsoft. Okay, so core SQL, it is native API for Cosmos DB. All SQL queries based on JSON documents. Okay, and MongoDB, it is a popular open source document based database where you can see this is my data. You can core SQL, you can query it like this. And for MongoDB, the data will be present in the form of an JSON. You can query like this. And for table API, you can have this, but again, this table API is not the relational database related table like customer and all. These are the Azure table storage. In Cassandra API, and this particular Cassandra API, is by Apache Tomcat, will be used by the Apache Cassandra, which is a popular open source database. And also this you can use this one id name and all, this will be the data you can query this. If you observe, right, core sql and cassandra, uh, they come under a similar kind of sql. And next is the germlin, which is used to query the data in the graph structure. If you observe in my previous slide, I have the data that is present in the graphical structure as well. To query this particular graphical structure, I will be going to use Germlin API. Where if you observe, right, this example, in graph, what I will have, everything I will have the nodes. Okay, so one node will get connected to another node. Pictorially, right? So Sue and Ben and hardware all present. Okay, so Ben, he will reports to Sue, and this Sue works for hardware, and also this Ben also works in a hardware. So this is nothing but the graphical representation of your data that is present in this Germlin API. So now just let us come to some kind of quick check on your understanding, like which API should be used to store and query JSON documents, and which Azure Cosmos DB API should you use to work with data, in which entities and their relationship to one another are represented in graph, and how can you enable globally distributed users to work with their own local replica of a Cosmos DB database. So Germlin for graph, and for core SQL for JSON Azure Cosmos DB, and global distributed users you will use the enable multiple regions. So with this, we have completed for today's list of components and the topics. So Lakshit, if you have any questions, then you can uh, share it here so that I will try to address them.
So, sir, we have some more questions. Shall we proceed with them?
Yes, please.
So, okay, this is a basic question. So, do we have to know all SQL commands for Azure Data Exam, Azure DP900? It's
Right.
in your
See,
study.
no, all SQL commands are not required, but you have to understand like the concepts that are present. Obviously, the main SQL commands which comes under DCL, DML, and DDL.
Yeah, exactly.
Next
So, the
question.
next question is here, sir.
Okay, so if you are going for Azure Cloud and the SQL, then you can go and study on the structured query language SQL that is present, that was offered by the Microsoft. But if you are going for other things like the Oracle DB and all, then obviously you will get a service where you can learn that one. It all depends upon it.
So,
Mhm.
the next question about YAML and JSON, sir.
Okay, so as I said to you before, JSON is an JavaScript notification where you can. It is an generic and you can say uniform notification of the data. That means every person or any application will know about this one JSON data. And again, YAML is also another kind of structure or the representation where you will be using it. YAML file. It is again a kind of markup language which will be mainly used. Okay.
Okay, so there is a project-based question we have, sir, here.
Hmm.
Can you please give it a look? So what I want to share authentication related something. Basically, he
Okay.
want to share the authentication details.
Okay. See, if you wanted to store any authentication of user coming from a my website, obviously for this first point, simply you need a database, you need a table of permissions and all. Second one, I want to store that on Azure. Shall I need to create a virtual machine for it? See, again, it depends upon your cost and all. If you wanted to create a VM and if you wanted to take care of maintaining all the VMs and creating all the database to replicate all thing and all, then you can go for this particular VM. Or else, just you can take in subscription saying that to the Microsoft, hi Microsoft Azure, just I need to work on this one to my requirement, just provide it. Okay, and it all depends upon your requirement and all. If you wanted to maintain VMs, you can go for a VM. If you wanted to maintain the databases of your own, just and all, you can go for it. Yep.
So, sir, we have one last question.
Mhm.
So here it is.
So this is a kind of specific to one particular app and all, so that depends upon kind of integrations that are present, how that particular integrations between the apps has been implemented. Okay, so there is nothing to do with particular Azure one, Azure related, and this is to the session, but that is specific to the kind of integrations that are being present on that WhatsApp and all. We have to more see and like what is the root cause for it and what is the issue of it.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. And also the WhatsApp. I guess if you are facing this situation, then it must be on WhatsApp web, and WhatsApp web is still in beta phase, so there might be a lot more changes need to be done in WhatsApp beta. So that's why it's in beta phase, WhatsApp web. So that might be the perfect answer right now for this question. So if anyone has any other questions, I guess this was the last question from your side, sir. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining in. Thank you, sir. This is the end of the session. These are the questions that were supposed to be answered yesterday, but these people have so many
I
questions
see.
yesterday. So I hope everyone got their question answered. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining in. This is the end of day two sessions. And again, one more reminder to everyone. Tomorrow there will be the last day of the session, and tomorrow we will be sending one feedback link to you all, where you have to fill your feedback of the speaker and for the sessions. Also, we'll be having a quiz where on the Microsoft Azure Developer Community Discord server. I'm sharing the link with you all, where you can take a chance to win the Microsoft Azure swags and merchandise. So do participate in the quiz, and you can win some awesome swags there. Okay, so the quiz is scheduled at 7 p.m. tomorrow. So do participate in the 7 p.m. quiz, and this is exclusive for your college. So please participate, and the winners are obviously be chosen from your college. Yeah, sure, sir. Yeah, so we will be sharing the MTM survey link with you all tomorrow, and you have to fill that MTM survey link, and so that we can get the process filled. So thank you, sir. Thank you for joining in, and thank you everyone for giving your time and for learning phases. So happy learning, everyone, and thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time and thanks, Lakshit, for hosting this.
Thank you,
Have
sir.
a
It's
nice
my
day.
pleasure. Yeah, have a nice day. Have a nice day, everyone. Happy learning. Thank you.